obi sikwa gị ike maka na Biafra na-abịa. Mr. Chidozie Ọnụọha, Biafra striker, afụ nwa lọta nne ya. Ofe owo ka isi bi ụwa elu. Agbala afụ nwa egbe n'ukwu maka Biafra. Odogwu nwa n'obi n'indi ya. Ife mena ya ọ nere ụwa nwa. Ị ga-adị ka echi nọdụ agwụ agwụ. Ngwa ka nkene n'odogwu. Abụ nwa Biafra striker. Abụ nwa lotanna ya. Abụ nwa lotanna. Abụ nwa onye ọbọ owe dị m mma. Abụ nwa lotanna ya. Abụ nwa lotanna. Abụ nwa anyị bi ya ka ọ na-ajụ. Abụ nwa lotanna ya. Ị ga-adị ka echi n'elu ụwa. Abụ nwa maka echi n'ọdagwu agwụ. Abụ nwa lotanna ya. Mazi Benjamin Nnaji, Bensi n'Igbo niile na Canada. Ndị ugbo Nkanu ka isi bi ụwa. Egwu ikolobịa na-ekwili. Obodo agbago Bensi n'Igbo niile. Benjamin onye ọma onye Nkanu so sibe. Benjamin Nwannaji Bensi n'Igbo niile. Ibu ụwa isi na chi onye Nkanu so sibe. Onye Nkanu ekene mi Bensi n'Igbo niile. Kabani ga-adị ka echi onye Nkanu so sibe. Na-akwadosikwa ike n'elu ụwa Bensi n'Igbo niile. Maka Biafra na-abịa onye Nkanu so sibe. Kedu ndị na-esi nkọ n'obodo Biafra baa n'ike ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Kedu ndị sabo n'obodo Biafra baa n'ike. Biafra baa n'ike ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Sebaka enweghị n'ofe Biafra baa n'ike maka Biafra na-abịa ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. A na-esi bobongo Biafra baa n'ike. Obodo Biafra ka anyị na-ekwu ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Anyị gwaliba ka emenye n'udo Biafra baa n'ike. Tararụ ka afụba ụbụrụ ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Mgbe o suru onye ga-akpụ Biafra baa n'ike. Ofu obi ka anyị ga-eji ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Ụmụ Biafra akwụrụgonu Biafra baa n'ike. Anyị chọba nụ ofu obi ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Ofu obi n'onye ga-enye anyị ya Biafra baa n'ike. Biafra baa n'ike. Ndị Naijiria ọgbakọkwu ndị Naijiria ka anyị na-achọzi. Onye Chukwu mere eze ga-echirili Biafra baa n'ike. Maka Biafra bụ nke m ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Ife mere ezi oyima Biafra baa n'ike. Mr. Chidebere Ugwu ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Gabito nwa Biafra Biafra baa n'ike. Onye Nsụka jiri ebube ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Gabi Chemical Ventures Biafra baa n'ike. Na Lagos gị na-achụzi ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Kwadobekwa maka Biafra Biafra baa n'ike. Kwadobekwa na anyị ga-analele ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Gabito nwa Biafra Biafra baa n'ike. Obodo Biafra gwurugo ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Ife mena Nnamdi Kanu Biafra baa n'ike. Ọhamadike Biafra ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Na-ejizi anya ike Biafra Biafra baa n'ike. Wee nwezie ego ndị Naijiria pịata ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Oke n'ọsọ ngwele n'ọsọ Biafra baa n'ike. Ụmụ ibe anyị na ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. Ife abegwu abala nze Biafra baa n'ike. Egwu ikolobịa ka bụ ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. A na-esi Igbo bụ ngọ Biafra baa n'ike. Ụmụ ibe n'anya ọ na-awa nkụsiri ike. another savior. Segechili, maka Biafra bukemu. Ona wakusilike. Ife merezi oyima. Biafra banike. Kakidebeli. Ona wakusilike. Gabito mwa Biafra. Biafra banike. Wonye suka jiri ebube. Ona wakusilike. Gabi Medical Ventures. Biafra banike. Na Lagos nke na Juzi. Ona wakusilike. Madobe kwa maka Biafra. Biafra banike. Madobe kwa Naninga na Lele. Ona wakusilike. Gabito mwa Biafra. Biafra banike. Obodo Biafra. Ona wakusilike. Ife mena na Nnamdi Kanu. Biafra banike. Ọmọdike Biafra. Ona wakusilike. Yetizi adike Biafra. Biafra banike. Wewazi ego ndị Nigeria Biafra. Ona wakusilike. Oke n'ọsọ kwere n'ọsọ. Biafra banike. Ụmụ ibe anyị na na. Ona wakusilike. Ife abekwa bịara njem. Biafra banike. Egwu ikoro Biafra bụ. Ona wakusilike. A na-esi Igbo bụ mbọ. Biafra banike. Ụmụ ibe n'anya na. Ona wakusilike.
Many years after the genocide, whoa, it's another great leader has risen up now. Oh, and he's leading the Biafra to victory. Well, this is for the end. This is dedicated to the gallant heroes of the Nigerian Biafra War. IPO families all over the world. I remember the Nigerian Biafra in the thickness of the Biafra genocide. Hey, on my river to vanish inside. Let's bring the Biafra army to fight, and they were singing out. It's another great leader has risen up now. Oh, and he's leading the Biafra to victory. Nnamdi Kanu Hey, it's an honor having you on board. Wanna sing along.
On this note, I am going to, we have actually done an introduction and all that, so we apologize. Our viewers, we deeply apologize. This is nobody's fault at all. This is nobody's fault at all. On this note, we are going to start this program based on three principles. I'm waiting for it to appear on the screen. Yes, so we are starting based on three principles. First principle is the freedom. We are going to visit especially most of the international laws about freedom of speech. And then after that, we go to the just have to start. What is being recognized as state. On this note, what is the statehood? When people, we have actually done an introduction or people and all that, so we apologize. Same ethnic viewers, we agitating or wanting the freedom. This is nobody's fault, or independent or sovereignty state at all. We are going to on this note very briefly on that. And then the third one will be program based on three. The third one will be on three principles on the international standard. The international standard of freedom of first, the international standard of freedom of expression. Two is what the IPOB has filed in 2016 to the International Criminal Court. This communication was done in 2016 so we are starting based on three by Professor the first principle is the freedom. The freedom of speech. We are going to visit. You are very conversant what the freedom of speech. And after that, especially most of the international. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why do we have to make references? And then these three issues we go mentioned here is because a lot of people will say that what is being recognized as state, you have to do it that way. What is this for international community when to intervene and all that? Indigenous people, we want to tell them this evening that all these things they are saying ethnic group IPOB under your leadership has done even more than expected. And there is nothing to show for it. We are going to go very briefly. You have written to international criminal court. The third one, you have hired some of the best. The third one will be on the world. On you have done all this, and today we are going to show it to the international standard for the very first time. First, the international standard of freedom of expression. Two is what the IPOB has filed in 2016 to the International Criminal Court. This communication was done in 2016 by Professor Goran Slaughter and Andrew Lunazi. Of course, you are very, very conversant with that. And then after that, we start the program. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why do we have to make references to these three issues I've mentioned here? Is because a lot of people will say that, okay, what you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. Wait for international community to intervene and all that. But we want to tell them this evening that all these things they are saying, IPOB under your leadership has done even more than expected. And there is nothing to show for it anywhere today. You have written to International Criminal Court. You have hired some of the best lobbyists all over the world. You have done all this. And today we are going to show it to the public. For the very first time, the application filed to the ICC in 2016. I know you'll be very surprised that I'm talking. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear, Simon. I'm hearing you. Please.
So I'm going to pull the application IPOB under your leadership filed to the International Criminal Court in 2016.
Yes.
We are only going to read because it is about 93 pages. Mm-hmm. So when people are talking, they are saying something they know nothing about. They don't know how far you have gone with the IPOB, especially to get justice for what the Nigerian government has done to our people. So today I am going to release only one tip of the iceberg. And I'm doing it for the very first time on this program. It's going to be on the screen very shortly. Because this program is going to be completely different than what, normal, what we have been doing all this while. It's going to be completely different. And then also, if the attack is too much, that they couldn't allow us to do something or, do it the way I wanted to do it, then what we have to do is that we may have to reschedule, and I will set up a Zoom, because I'll be getting a lot of messages from different media as I'm talking to you right now. I'll be getting a lot of messages from different media houses, and they are telling me what to do. They are telling me to do this and do that. So if this doesn't work out, we have to now.
We can have a discussion and then we can present the evidence afterwards. We can have a discussion today and then the evidence will be presented later.
Exactly.
But I do thank the viewers and listeners for their patience. They've been patiently waiting, and I can see that the numbers are back up again to where it was before we were rudely interrupted. But we must proceed. We must proceed. Yes.
So before we go forward, could you tell our viewers a little bit about this application I've just mentioned to you, filed in 2016?
In 2016, our lawyers, should I say our attorneys in Europe, approached the ICC to make or to present a very compelling case about the human rights abuses being perpetrated by the Nigerian government against the people of Biafra. As you well know, Gordon did a very wonderful work. That was in 2016. Also in 2017, additional work was done by our lawyers here in the United States of America. In 2018, additional work was done by our lawyers back home. In 2019, we hired one of the top human rights lawyers in the world to litigate this very matter before the ICC against the Nigerian government. In that same 2019, and as you said, I believe for the very first time, I'm providing clarity on this very matter, I went to the ICC myself. I went to ICC myself. I was deposed. I told them exactly what was happening. They said we shouldn't discuss it when we go outside, and we've been waiting since 2019. We're in 2021. And instead of doing something about the, should I say, the very relentless pursuit of the Biafran people, the Nigerian government has been emboldened, the zoo has been emboldened into killing our people, not just killing us. We have now arrived at a situation where our women are being abducted and raped in the north because ICC failed to do something for how many years now? 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. We hired people in The Hague on a permanent basis, paying them tons of money to be collecting all this evidence against the Nigerian government for the sole purpose of bringing this matter before the ICC, at least for them to investigate. But due to the overwhelming political pressure on them, they have not been able to do anything about it. The only reason why they issued some kind of statement a few weeks ago, or should I say a couple of months ago, was because of the NSAS protest. If not, they would have mentioned it. I am in the United States of America, where we've hired a very top lobbying firm at Washington, D.C. at huge expense, I must tell you. You also know about the submissions we made to United Nations. Angela Calamar's report, everyone has read it. We went there, IPOB, she mentioned IPOB and Biafra. You can see that report on human rights abuses in the zoo. I have been to Geneva. I've sat down with United Nations officials in Geneva. I have been to the EU. Most of them, I have been to the House of Lords to make a presentation before Baroness Cox. I have been to Capitol Hill here in the United States of America, in Washington, to present our case. So where else do you want us to take our cases to before something is done about it? These are the things that people don't understand. Most of the contracts, most of the work we are doing, you cannot see them. You cannot write about them or talk about them. If not for this very program, I won't be discussing this. But it's about time our people realize that we are doing all we can to present all this catalog of abuse and degradation before the conscience of the international community. But unfortunately, Britain is working for Nigeria. There is what I call a climate of neocolonialism still prevalent in Nigeria, and they still see Nigeria as a contraption they created. They still see Nigeria as a place they can come to Biafra and take our oil and gas without paying for it. Therefore, anything that can sustain the false unity of Nigeria is what they are going to encourage. They see Biafra agitation as an antithesis to that very plan which they have, which is to keep this contraption together for them to have unfettered and unrestricted access to our resources. And that is what has been happening. But unfortunately, our people are not intelligent enough to understand it. Every year we spend money. We have somebody in The Hague right now collecting all the evidence, the rape cases, everything, all the murders, all the unprovoked attacks and invasions, everything. But for ICC to call up that very case is another problem. When I say that Biafra is going to be the last miracle on earth, people don't quite understand what I mean by that. Biafrans don't know the number of people and forces against them. They don't understand it. Those of us at the cold face of this struggle, deep inside it, we know who our enemies are, and they are numerous. But I am very, very confident of victory because the God we serve is the one that made this very universe, and his words must prevail. And on that very promise, we anchor our hope, we rest all that we are doing to restore Biafra. And we know that in the end that Biafra will come. We have a lot of enemies, you know. We've not done anything to them. It's Biafrans that built America. We built this very country that I'm in today. Biafrans built the United States of America. The majority of all the hard-working free men and women they took from the western coast of Africa, they shipped them to the USA. They are the ones that made this country great. So they see something in us that we cannot see. They know we are very productive. They know we are hardworking. But above all, Britain knows that we are blessed. It is that blessing from God that Britain doesn't want to see rise up in Africa. And that is why they're using very primitive Fulani people to try to suppress us. You saw yesterday that Britain, BBC was advertising army positions, asking you, even telling you what you can get the forms to join the Nigerian army. And I know that BBC functions on tax, or should I say license fee payers money in the UK. They don't accept any advert. So how come BBC Pidgin in Nigeria is advertising for people to join the army of Nigeria for free? Because they are, of course, agents of neocolonialism. They're working for Britain. They want Nigerian army ranks to swell up so they can suppress any measure of uprising against the very decaying, crumbling, damnable zoological republic. What our people need to realize is this. What we go through on a daily basis to ensure that our cases are heard all over the world is immense, everywhere, especially here in the USA. But if the world continues to turn a blind eye and they continue to kill, to rape, to murder, to slaughter people, to take our land, do you expect us to put our hands and do nothing? The answer is no, of course. We must fight because we have our backs now against the world, and that's what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ohamadike, one of Biafra. Another thing I want to, this is just an introduction to what we are going to discuss this evening. Another thing I want to ask you is that, there is a man called Peter Smithers. Peter Smithers in 1998. In 1998, wrote a Nigerian lesson from Sir Smithers. Sir Smithers said the negotiation that the Nigeria as a state was a grave mistake. After 40 years, it is clear that this was a grave mistake which has cost many lives and will probably continue to do so. It would have been better to establish several smaller states in a free trade area. The exculpation, it must be said, that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of the Soviet Union before our eyes. This was a man who was the parliamentary private secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of State in the colonial office 1952 to 1959. Can you tell us more about what you feel he is trying to do here?
What he's trying to do is to draw our attention to the incompatibility of the various ethnic nationalities you have that make up Nigeria, but more importantly, to draw our attention to the irreducibility of value system in determining who should belong with who in any nation. It's quite interesting that he used Yugoslavia as an example. The funniest thing that people don't understand about Yugoslavia is that they are all one Slavic people. They are all Slavic people, as you have with Russia and Bulgaria and all the rest of it. They're all Slavic people. They are one people, one race. They are predominantly Christians. Of course, you have in Bosnia and Herzegovina during the march of Islam into Europe, that a few of them became Muslims, as you have in some parts of Kosovo and also in Albania. What I am trying to point out is this: these people who are one race, predominantly one religion, cannot live together in a country called Yugoslavia. How about people who are from Senegambia and goodness knows where else? Not the same language, not the same religion, not the same traditions, not the same culture, absolutely nothing. How can you make these people become one nation? Is not possible. That is something we've talked about before, that most Africans don't seem to pay much attention to. We are tribal animals by nature. Africans are tribal by nature. That is why every Christmas, every New Year festival, every August, we travel back to the village. Even if you live in Kaduna, somebody will ask you, where are you from? You say, I'm from Ihioma. Because that is where your ancestors come from. In Africa, we come from where our ancestors come from. But white Europeans can travel to Australia and they're comfortable. They're from Australia. They can travel to New Zealand. They're from New Zealand. They're okay with it. But even if you take us to New Zealand and we stay there for 1,000,000 years, if you ask us where we come from, I will come from Ibeco. That is something that is very unique to Africa, and nobody can take that away from us. And that is something that most people do not understand nor have an appreciation for. That is why in Africa, everywhere you go to, be it in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, everywhere, people still talk about tribe till tomorrow morning because we are different. So rather than trying to experiment with us, this sort of very colonial, artificial construct, because mind you, all states in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, are all racist constructs. Those that developed or created Nigeria, that created Togo, that created Ghana, they had racism in mind, not your interest. And this is what we've been trying to explain to African people. If not, why would we go to Lagos during a revolution, or should I say a mini revolution, a protest? And people of Lagos, Yoruba people are saying, oh, that Igbos came here to destroy their buildings. But you are all one Nigeria, you claim. These are the things that people need to appreciate. We don't want Fulanis in our land. For the simple reason that we don't want to dilute.
Attention, attention. IPOB, one family. This announcement.
Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Something
It's
just...
okay. What I'm trying to point out, Simon, is this. Forget about all the one Africa. I'm a Pan-Africanist. But we need to start organically. We need to go back to where we come from and begin to build a consensus from the grassroots. Which should Biafra want to join Oduduwa in forming a nation, we look at all the pros and cons and then reconcile all these things, and then we move together as one. Look at Britain that gave Nigeria, so that colonized and still owns Nigeria till tomorrow morning. Scotland wants to be on their own. Wales will be on their own very soon. Northern Ireland will live to be on their own. That is human nature. You cannot take it away from us. The only reason why they have Nigeria together the way it is, and why we have been complaining, and why authors and great commentators like the man you alluded to has not gotten any traction in terms of people being able to understand and appreciate what he's saying, is because of the way we reason. I say this all the time. Professor Wole Soyinka, a great literary giant, I would say, came out the other day to say that he is fed up, there is war on his doorstep. He knows very well, as an intellectual, so to speak, that the reason why the war is on his doorstep is because Nigeria is flawed. If Oduduwa were to be on their own, do you think somebody will go to, any cow will go to Soyinka's farm to eat the cabbage or the carrots? It won't happen. These are things that we need to understand, that first and foremost, we are tribal animals because life as we know it started in Africa. We are attached to the land we come from. That is who we are. Because the white man can be born in England and come to America to settle for life and say he or she is an American, doesn't mean we have to follow them. Thank you.
Thank you, Onyendu. Now, let us now go from the fundamental in the sense that, you know, when people are hearing that we are agitating for Biafra, we want Biafra, some of them in the West, we say the political elite are not shouting Biafra, that they are only those who are in diaspora, you know, like civilized ones, are the ones shouting for Biafra. And this fact, a lot of people don't know. When you look at it, you find out that 99% of people in Biafra are shouting Biafra. 99% of Biafrans in Nigeria are shouting for Biafra. Only 1%, not even up to 1% of this so-called elite. These are the politicians that have been benefited from Nigeria. Now, I want us to look at how will disintegrated Nigeria favor the region before we come into the crisis and the lives that have been lost as a result of trying to keep one Nigeria. Can you tell us, how do you think that a disintegrated Nigeria will favor the Fulani themselves, the Hausa themselves, the Middle Belt, the Oduduwas, the Biafrans, and any other nation that will want to come out of Nigeria? Explain to us. Let us hear.
Before I came on air on this, your fantastic program today, I read a very brilliant piece, or should I say a comment by somebody. The person said that Nigeria is the only place he knows where yesterday is better than today. Ask yourself, at which point in Nigeria's history did they record the highest level of human development? It was when they were on their own, when they were semi-autonomous regions. So there is an already made example there for people to reference, should they wish to do so. It was when this unitary mindset came into existence that things started to fall apart. So if when you were on your own, the North was doing very well, or the West was doing very well, Opera had the fastest growing economy in the world at nearly 48% every year. Awolowo did his magic in the West. Now tell me, you have a simple example. When people were, should I say, semi-autonomous, or should I say autonomous, so to speak, they were doing very well. Now you are together in one Nigeria. Everything is falling apart to the extent that people are coming from Mali, from Senegambia, from Niger, from Chad, in your backyard, raping and killing you. It's a no-brainer. It's simple common sense. As I said before, that is who we are. Because once you allow an element of stress, an infusion of competition, you get the best out of the people. Right now, we do not have that. Right now, there is no competition. Right now, this thing about one Nigeria, unity is stifling the creative potentials in us, all of us. Yoruba is not doing well. Biafra is not doing well. Middle Belt is not doing well. The North is not doing well. Nobody is doing well. Then you ask yourself, all these glorious reference to our past, what period was it? The only period was between 1960 to 1965. And then you had regions. Who can argue with that? So the more you separate, the more you look inwards, the more you look at yourself, the more you become self-reliant, the more do you know that in those days, all the regions that they had embassies abroad? Do you know that? Do you know Eastern region had their own embassies abroad with their flag? Are you aware of that? Most people don't know this. And that was the time that Nigeria witnessed a semblance of growth in terms of human development. Now you have a very, should I say, disgraceful contraption called one Nigeria. And everybody is struggling. Cows are making your lives a misery. If you don't know that going back to autonomy is the best way forward, then there is something wrong with that person.
Onyendu, thank you very much. Just because you know everything we do in Biafra, we stand by the truth. We do everything with evidence and fact. Just to back up what you have just said, I told you about 93 pages of application filed to the ICC. Barely few years of formation of IPOB, because this was in 2016. Barely 2 years. The foundation of Nigeria were shaken by the formation of IPOB and the activity of the IPOB in Nigeria. So on that ground, this application was filed in 2016 January. So I am bringing it to the screen now for people to see. For those who are asking, this is number one. The application has been filed 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and this is 2021. And there is nothing to show for it. And there is a place I'm going. I'm going somewhere with this statement I'm making now, which we are going to discuss later on in this program. Now, when you read the introduction here, it says, one, this communication is hereby filed to the Office of the Prosecutor, the OTP of the International Criminal Court, the ICC, pursuant to Article 15 of the Rome Statute, by Professor Goran Slota and Andrew, on behalf of the indigenous people of Biafra, a movement dedicated to self-determination of a former republic of Biafra in southeastern Nigeria, as well as on behalf of 17 individual citizens of Nigeria, the victims collectively, with the IPOB, the petitioner. Two, the petitioner submit that, based on the information set out herein, there is reason to believe that crimes against humanity within the jurisdiction of the ICC, in particular, murder, unlawful imprisonment, torture, enforcements, disappearance, other inhuman acts, and persecution have been committed in the context of politically and ethnically motivated state violence against primarily IPOB members and the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. Due to the absence of domestic criminal proceedings with respect to those potentially bearing the greatest responsibility for these crimes, in particular, but not limited to Nigeria current President Muhammadu Buhari, and that was then, and in the light of the gravity of the act committed. Now, this is 93 pages, 93 good pages. The list can go on and go on. Factual evidences, citations, references, up to 93 good pages. And of course, like you said in the beginning, that you do not want to discuss this thing because a lot have been done and people are not aware of it. So just to let the public understand, what the IPOB have done all this while. When people go on social media to say IPOB under leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is doing this or they are not doing that, so this is just one evidence of it, that as far back as 2016, you have started taking actions which are necessary, lawful, and legal actions against the Nigeria terrorist state. But up to now, nothing is happening. But I'm still going to come back to why I am showing this thing, because the actions of today is as a result of the failure of the international community to heed to the call of the Biafra people, of which you have honorably well in that aspect. So this is just a side comment on what you have said before. Now, going to what you just said about how Nigeria, how it will benefit the other region and the component that makes up Nigeria, how it will benefit them when Nigeria is disintegrated. And you made mention of what you read, that Nigeria of yesterday, that yesterday is better than today. And that is very awkward fact. Very, very awkward fact that every president that comes to Nigeria, the last one will always be better than the new one. It's not only in the economic sector and all that. But the second question, or the third question I want to ask you is this. Now, looking at what is happening now, a lot of people don't understand what is going on in Nigeria. A lot of people still believe of course, they still believe somehow in Nigeria. They believe that the political structure of Nigeria is the major problem. And we, people following you, have a different view and a different opinion to this. And I think this is where the interest is clashing. Anybody that is shouting for Nigeria today believe that the problem is in the political structure. We are believing that the problem is not about political structure, but rather there is a motivated or there is a premeditated act to take our land and turn it into Islamic State or colonize us. So we are not looking at the aspect of the political structure anymore. It is a struggle for survival of our people. I want you to shed more light on this, because those supporting one Nigeria must have reason. And the reason what we have seen is that they are thinking that the political structure of Nigeria is the problem of Nigeria. So can you tell us more about, that it is not the political structure, rather something they should know about?
Thank you, somebody. Something they know about, but pretend not to know about it. Everybody knows about the hegemonic tendencies of the Fulani Caliphate. We are well versed in the, should I call it, shenanigans of those people who are always expanding. There was a lecture that I gave that the Fulanis are the only people that continues to expand. Not expand in terms of population, but in terms of territorial influence and supplanting existing cultures and traditions with their own. When we say this, people say, "Oh, you're warmongering, you're profiling, and it is hate and all the rest of it." And I say it is pure nonsense. Look at the history of the Hausa people. Those of you that want one Nigeria, look at what is happening today in Kanem Borno, the place you call Borno State. Look at the fate of those of them in the Middle Belt. Look at the fate of those of them, our brothers and sisters in Yoruba land, Yoruba. Even the Caliphate left their footprints there many, many years ago in Kwara State. Many years ago, they overran Nupe people of Niger State. Many years ago, some of you don't know this, they forcibly tried to convert the Atta of a Gala to Islam. These things are there in our history books. They are everywhere. If one Nigeria means that our land should be surrendered to people from Zambia, then death is a better option because it's not going to happen. We are the Biafran people, and within that Biafra, it contains a very unique race in the world called the Igbo race. They are very difficult, don't get me wrong, but they're very unique. Very, very unique. I don't think anybody is more stubborn than we are. I don't think anybody is more generous than we are. I do not believe that any race on this earth is more affluent in terms of natural blessing than we are. Anybody thinking they can use the guise of one Nigeria to take the land of our ancestors, that person is dreaming. Them and their cohorts, they are dreaming. And I will tell you why they're dreaming. They have tried before, over 300 years ago, to take that very land. They failed. Islam made it to the sea across West Africa. Islam made it to the Atlantic Ocean. The only place that Islam did not succeed in penetrating is the East. And when they came for that very jihad, we had no army at all. God Almighty in heaven fought for us. All their armies died. That thing they tried in Kwara State and succeeded, they tried it in Lower Benue, in Idoma and Igere lands, and they failed. All their armies died. The few that survived, they trekked back to Zaria from whence they came. I must warn anybody. All of these people agitating or saying, oh, we want one Nigeria, you are setting up yourselves to fail. You are as foolish as Hausa peasants. Hausa peasants did the same thing you're doing. Oh, allow them, give them land, give them cattle. By the time they woke up, all their kings were dead. Hausa kingdoms became Fulani Emirates. Where you have Hausa governors, you have Fulani governors. Telling you we are Hausa Fulani, we are Hausa Fulani. And I keep asking myself, why is it that people don't see all these things? Is it because, of course, that is why we call them a zoo, because they're very foolish. Without apologies to anyone. Because if you are not foolish, history is there for you to reference. These people asking you for land, asking you for Ruga, maintain peace, let's stay in one Nigeria. What are their antecedents? What have they done in the past? Because where we come from, from their behavior in the past, you now know if you can trust them or not. But it's Britain that is behind the scenes, remoting everything that's happening in this room. I am a British citizen. I hold a British passport. I know there are good men and women in England. It is a land of conscience. It was English people that left Southampton to come to America to build America, the land of the free. English people, yes. They traveled on a ship called Mary Rose. They landed at a place called New England. Conscientious, honorable, God-fearing people. They were the ones that helped slaves to escape from the south to the north. English people. But there is a breed we have now. Blood-sucking demons. Their job is to hold Africa down, to hold a black person down. And how are they doing it? They want you to tamper with any of their creations in Africa, all these idiotic states, all these artificial boundaries they gave us in Africa. No, because that is the beginning of the chain that is holding us down, and they know it. And the question is, who is a Nigerian? And I will ask you a simple, I want you to contemplate something, Simon, for me. If I ask you now to go and prepare a Nigerian dish for me, what are you going to present? Because if you bring a wedu soup, somebody from the East will tell you that is not their food. If you bring Afan or a Dikaikon, somebody from Kanu State will tell you that is not our food. If you bring Tuwo, is it Tuwo Shinkafi or whatever they call it, somebody from the Middle Belt will say that is not our food. Ordinary food, there is no commonality. Is it the way they dress? So I keep asking myself every blessed day when I wake up, what is it that unites Nigeria together? And then I discovered it is two things. an innate desire to be corrupt, and secondly, stupidity. Those two things are very, very pivotal. They are older than the country in the 21st century. So, show, tell me one place. Only in Africa. Because they came to Africa and they built all these contracts.